Love and Mercy. That's my favorite
porn. You know it
biopic.
when you see it, right?
Love and Mercy, I think it would be my favorite biopic.
Let's look at porn and see if it's porn, right?
What?
That only work. I know that Zoom cancels out sometimes what I'm saying when you're talking, so you may not have heard the setup for that joke.
No, not at all. I just heard the end.
No, you said let's figure out like what's a biopic, what's not. I said it's like porn. You know it when you see it, and then I was like, let's look at some porn real quick and see if we can determine what it is.
Yep,
just to hear
porn.
me randomly suggest that, you going, yep, that's porn. Now anyway, back to the biopics.
Yes, Love and Mercy. That's my favorite one. Hey, Seth, how's it going? You're laughing because this is me trying to start the show without an intro. But
I'm proud of you, and I wasn't ready for it. I was like, I got a little time. He's going to talk for a little bit. He's going to say the word show 8 times.
I wanted. So I listened. We talked a few episodes ago about this Smartless episode with Steven Spielberg, and I've never listened to the Smartless podcast before.
Oh, really? Not even my episode. It's not my episode.
I listened to the clip with the Seth Worley reference, but not even the full episode. But something I love on their show, maybe I don't know if they do it every show, but they did it on the Spielberg one, was they like started it and they talked, and then someone was like, by the way, I've got my guest, and the other 2 hosts didn't know of the guest yet. It was like
that's every episode.
That's such a cool.
It is.
Yeah, they always surprise your co-hosts.
It's one person's job each week to do. I've only listened to those 2 episodes, but people like so many friends of mine love that podcast. And I like it when I listen to it because it has Steven Spielberg on it, or it has Tony Hale saying my name.
I was just shocked that Steven Spielberg was on a podcast.
I know, it's pretty great. It has set an unhealthy precedent for him now because now I bet so many are coming.
Oh my gosh!
Coming after him.
He ended he was like saying bye to them at the end of the podcast, and he's like, "Jason, keep directing. You're doing great work." I'm like, if he ever told me that,
oh God,
I literally would die.
Weep.
I would perish.
I would weep. I'd weep into death. It would be death.
I feel like Seth. I feel like our show is just becoming a Spielberg like fan podcast because last week we
Friends
had
of Spielberg. Honestly, we should just change the name to Friends of Spielberg.
Friends of Spielberg, the podcast.
Yeah.
I got some kind words and a lot of
probably
people.
a better podcast name than the Writers Room Game Show, to be quite honest.
Hey, they're both great names. What were some of the alternate names we came up with before Writers Room? Do you remember?
I don't remember any being good.
There was a long text thread where it's just back and forth, like crappy.
Oh, was it a text thread? Okay, let's see.
Mine would be deleted at this point. That was like, what, 2021, late 2021?
21,000 years ago.
No, it would have been late 2020. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, you and I don't say the term Writers Room Game Show in podcasts very often. I mean, in text threads anymore.
No, it's WRGS or the podcast.
So I was hoping that search would result in something. Let me see. Oh, no, it has. Okay, I'm going to keep scrolling up. I'm going to find something.
Okay. Well, you find something. So last week 2 weeks ago, I guess, since when this came out, we did our episode of the Fableman Cinematic Universe, where we broke down movies 2, 3, 4, and 5, the Fablemans franchise. That was simultaneously an episode that we got a lot of like, oh, that was awesome. I loved it. And then I had a few friends who were like, yeah, I didn't listen to it. I never saw the Fablemans. What are you doing?
Oh.
You got to watch the movie.
What?
But
I don't like your friends, Polly. I don't.
You don't have any friends that haven't seen the Fablemans?
I do, but none of them are like, I don't know. I guess that's good that they flat out tell you.
They just said I didn't listen because I haven't seen the movie yet. Well, you got to watch it.
It's not like we're going to spoil. Oh my God, spoilers for the Fablemans. Like,
I guess that's true.
Parents get divorced. He becomes a film director. I don't really know, like, how you could spoil that movie.
Like, I haven't read the book yet.
Yeah. I haven't seen the new film, The Fast and the Fablemans.
Great idea from that friendly man on Twitter.
I am so mad we didn't think of that. That was my friend Robert Poole on Twitter. He said, I'm holding out for The Fast and the Fablemans. And oh my God, they're
both Universal franchises too, man. They could still do it.
So they could happen.
We got Fast X and then Fast and the Fablemans. Speaking
Fast and the Fablemans is just such a sharp left turn, like in mid-title.
What would that be about, Seth? If I was like quick off the top of your head, the pitch of what the Fast and the Fablemans was.
Well, the Fast and the Fablemans doesn't get old. I'm imagining it would be the plot of the Fast and the Furious, but about the midpoint.
One of the
Sammy Fableman and the family
parents get divorced.
Yeah, but it's literally Mitzi and Bert Fableman, like those characters.
Oh yeah, Sammy grows up to be like a race car driver.
No, Sammy's not even in it. It's just Vin Diesel. Hold on. No, it's Paul Walker. Paul Walker's parents turn out to be 1960s or 50s era Mitzi and Bert Fableman.
Yes, they had.
And the rest of the movie is the second half of the Fablemans, but with Paul Walker instead of Sammy Fableman.
Digital Paul Walker. Okay, I love it. Speaking of movies, Seth, let's get into some movie news. I forgot to say this is guys.
We need a theme. I need you to make a theme for movie news.
Don't tip me, Seth. I will make it
with spotlights. I don't know what those sound like, but I'm imagining spotlights flying.
Maybe
around.
that's how it starts. The big lights.
Oh, it has to start with a like a reel, like starting up, because that's what we need. We know as movies.
Movie news. Yeah.
Yeah. Always. Yeah. I want all of our themes to end with yeah.
Movie news. Movie news. Yes. Oh, well, first, I didn't intro the podcast. Writer's Room Game Show, now Writer's Room Talk Show.
You couldn't. You just could not. Like,
we have to at least introduce it once.
No, we don't. There are so many podcasts that do not introduce themselves. I love that you cannot get into anything without telling the people what they're listening to. They hit play.
I feel like usually on those podcasts, they have a theme song that says like the title of the podcast.
No, I'm thinking of like Accidental Tech Podcast. ATP, they never say, welcome to ATP or anything like that. They're just talking and talking about how bad Mark Arment's music taste is. Yeah.
I got to get the branding out there. Okay, let's jump into movie news. Cue theme song.
The best way to get it out there is in the podcast. That's how you get the branding out there.
Did you see today, or this week, not today, this week, AMC, they are charging extra for seats in the middle of the theater. So all the regular price seats are going to be in the front and on the sides.
Oh, okay. So it's not like you can buy a seat in the lobby. You won't see the movie, but it'll cost $15.
Free seats. What are your thoughts on that? I have thoughts. I'm interested on your thoughts on charging extra for the middle.
One, it doesn't affect me anymore because my local theater is a Regal theater. So I'm not in the AMC family anymore.
Yeah, same. I rarely ever go, but
if I still lived in LA and was still able to frequent the AMC City Walk, a Universal, which was
that the theater you went to when you?
Yeah, unexpectedly, it was like it was my favorite theater ever, and we had like ArcLights there, and rest in peace, ArcLight, and it was.
That's so fun though to go to Universal to watch movies on the regular.
It's great, and also it's one of those where every theater had reclining seats, and I just never realized how much
it's so nice.
I needed that in my life. I don't have it anymore. I don't have it at the Regal here that I go to in Nashville. But so all that to say, I would absolutely go bankrupt buying. I actually like this because it's bad for me. I shouldn't like it, but I like it because it makes those middle seats a little more exclusive. And I'm the kind of guy who like spent all my money at Disney on like the Genie Plus Fast Pass things and all that stuff. Because it's so I love convenience over whatever.
So movie theaters, they're not really good at like
having money.
They're not really good at like policing things at movie theaters, especially like they seem to be understaffed now. There's not like really like a projectionist. It's like one projectionist running all the theaters.
Excellent point. It would make it even more infuriating.
Yeah, like imagine a bunch of people buying the cheap seats and then they're like, I'm just going to sit in the middle anyways. And then it's like, there's going to be so many more like, hey, actually that's my seat. And then, there's going to be those people
it's not even
like,
that. It's like,
sorry.
Hey, that's not your seat in front of me. Like you definitely bought that. I paid for this. Oh, that is kind of maddening. I hadn't thought through that.
I feel like that's going to happen a lot more. It doesn't affect me. My local theater isn't an AMC. I go to AMC maybe a few times a year if it's like.
But you go to Alamo, man. You got it nice.
Yeah, we got an Alamo. It's very nice. But it's just like, and it's weird too. It's just like, dude, it does make it more exclusive because I'm like, if it was me, I'm like, I'm always going to go for the middle of the theater, like no matter what. But I don't know. It's weird. And I just like thinking about that. I hope that they go back on it. We'll see what happens. But going to the theater is becoming more and more rare for a lot of people, especially with like streaming. And I'm like, it sucks that there's even more like roadblocks, like price increases and stuff like that. But
it's a roadblock, but it's also like, I mean, whatever it takes to keep them.
Yeah, that's
in
true.
Business and afloat.
Yeah. A bunch of Regals just closed. Like there's like 70 Regal theaters or something like that closed around the country. Anyways, but this segues us into some listener questions, Seth. So let's get into those. It's time for a listener question. Gotta have the yeah. Okay, so a very attractive woman named Whitney Soroy.
Gross.
She sounds very cool. And
Not gross Whitney, just gross love.
And has a very good taste in men. She asked...
I'm sorry. That kind of a comment, if it's not your wife, is really funny. Like for a heterosexual man to refer to a woman that it'd be funny if, for all intents and purposes, that's obviously your wife.
Yes.
But if you were to refer to just some other random friend of yours, like, oh, they have excellent taste in men. Like, what?
I would say it. I would say it if I knew the guy. You gotta respect a good looking guy.
Gotta respect taste. Yeah.
But she asked, what is your best and worst movie theater experience? And this was piggyback. She asked about the AMC thing too, just because she saw that in the news.
Oh, okay.
But Seth, do you have a best and worst movie theater experience in your life?
Have I told the Muppet Treasure Island story on the podcast?
I don't know if you have. I love that movie.
It's actually appropriate if this is coming out next week. This was Valentine's Day.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is Valentine's week.
I want to say it was Valentine's Day. We can look up when Muppet Treasure Island came out and confirm this. But I was in 6th grade, I think. Wow, this can all be verifiable via the internet. Let's see. Muppet Treasure Island was 1996. Yes, so that was 6th grade, February 16th, 1996. Okay.
Good year.
Great year in film. So it actually was Independence Day, Twister. It was a solid year. So
sounds like the best year of your life.
Well, it gives us how it kicked off. It was started. I started dating this girl. I was in 6th grade. She went to a different school.
What was her name? First name.
Her name was Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
So our first date was going to be a double date with my friend Paul and his girlfriend Lacey. And
your parents who were dropping you off at this movie.
Yes. So we were going to go see Muppet Treasure Island. My mom dropped me off at what is now gone, Carmike Cinemas in Cool Springs.
Carmike.
I don't remember the actual name of it. It was not the thoroughbred Carmike. It was the old one. I got dropped off, and it was Valentine's Day, so I had a box of chocolates that my mom had bought for me to bring to her. And so I'm standing outside, waiting on the rest of my party to arrive.
I'm already smiling because I just love this story already.
I'm waiting on the rest of the party to arrive, and 5 minutes goes by, 10 minutes goes by, 15 minutes goes by. The movie's starting now. I'm going to give it 5 minutes, past. It was back in the 96, so you technically had like 10 to 15 minutes of previews. It wasn't like, solid 30. 45 like it is now. So I think I gave it like 10 to 15 minutes, and then no one arrived. So I had the choice to either call my mom and ask her to come pick me up, or go see Muppet Treasure Island by myself with a full box of chocolates. And so I did, and the chocolates were really good, and I remember loving the movie. And then when I got picked up, I put on a sad face so my mom would feel bad, but really I had a blast.
I love that. Did we ever find out what happened to the other three?
Yes, I called later, and she was like, oh, they were supposed to call you and tell you that we had to cancel. And, I remember thinking like, well, you're my girlfriend. Couldn't you have told me? I mean, I know I'm new to this, and I know neither of us really know how this works. I'm assuming
that relationship ended shortly after.
Yeah, actually, it was one of those where I don't know if it may still be going on right now. I don't think it ever officially ended.
Oh my God, that's great, dude. I love that so much. Can I tell you my worst?
I would like to.
Actually, I have two worst, but they're kind of...
I also don't know if that's my worst or best.
They're kind of... It sounds like both at the same time.
It was actually my worst. I do have a best, and I'll tell you this. I'll tell that after. It's not as fun.
Okay, I've got two worst that are connected. They're connected by old people.
Everything goes.
So, have we ever talked about...
We all are connected by old people.
We really are. If you go back far enough, we're all very connected by old people.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. But have we ever talked about Super 8? Are you a Super 8 fan? Do you like Super 8?
Yeah, I love Super 8, but
it's Spielberg, Abrams. It's kind of...
I had high hope. Super 8 to me is like, it's great. I mean, it's good, but it's not great, in my opinion. I always used to say that it was like trying to get right here, and it made it right there. Like, you know what I mean? So yes, I love it. And especially with time, I'm able to appreciate it like even more. But I remember when it first came out, I wanted so much from it that was unfair.
Yeah, definitely. I feel similarly. But I was so excited for Super 8. Like, so excited. We had like the mystery box thing that J.J. Abrams does, and it's like Spielberg connections. Like, And
you're in the thick of like the JJ verse at that moment. It's amazing. And that's And
2011, I graduated high school in 2010, and I basically like right after high school, I started getting really into these like early screenings. Like I was basically signing up for a bunch of like email newsletters and like different stuff to like get into as many like early like critic screenings as possible to movies, and they were usually free. So I was doing this a ton, but they did this for Super 8, like I forget the studio, but they Universal, I forget. But
no, it's Paramount. He had it.
Paramount. That's right, Paramount. But they did like a whole mystery box thing where you guessed you like used a secret code. It was mint. The word was mint was the secret code.
I remember that. Wait, that was the ARG. Wait, was this at your theater or was this like the online ARG thing?
Yes, the online thing, and then it connected to an early screening that it was like 2 weeks before the movie came out, and so I got like 4 tickets. I brought all my friends. We like waited for a few hours to get the good seats.
Did you get the hoodies?
No, I just got a free poster.
I don't remember how I got a hoodie from a similar experience.
Yeah.
But I got a hoodie and I remember thinking like this was for me the coolest thing I could have possibly gotten was a hoodie with Super 8 on it. And it was the weirdest fitting hoodie. And it was, when you get free swag and you're like, I am going to make this work because it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny, dude. Yeah. All I got was a poster. Yeah. So we wait for hours to get like the good seats at this like private early screening. Like it's so exciting. Actually, we got shirts. We got Super 8 shirts.
Nice.
That just said Super 8. And it also fit weird. I'm remembering this. But anyways, we're watching the movie, and a few minutes into the movie, of course, it's a packed theater. I've got me and 3 of my close friends, and I'm on the end. And right next to me is an old couple. The entire movie, they are talking
making out
loudly. The whole making it, that would be crazy. No, but the entire movie, they talk and ask each other questions the entire time, like describing what's happening in the movie loudly. And it was one of the worst. And it was this movie that I was so excited for, so anticipating, waited so long, tried really hard to get into it. And dude, it was one of the worst, like the whole movie. And my friends were laughing at me because I was just like, dude, I can't do this.
It sucks. And it sucks as it feels so personal. It's like, I'm deeply like, I've been like pivoting my life and expectations around this movie for the past season.
For months I've been looking forward to this screening. But that's part of the funnier, worst experience. Which is also, it's the same kind of old people that just talk the whole time. They're like, why is this happening? Watch the movie, you will find out. But
nope.
I took Whitney when we were dating. We were dating or were we married at the time? I think we might have been married, but we saw Manchester by the Sea. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
Real crowd pleaser.
Ooh, depressing movie. Very sad.
I have a similar.
Very heavy movie. And literally, again, right by us, a seat in between us is an old couple who I knew was going to be a bad experience. The opening credits, the name Casey Affleck came up, and they're like, I wonder if he's related to Ben Affleck.
Oh, I hate when they're asking questions that you know the answer to, and they're like pondering it. And you also could see it. I knew that's what they were going to say. When you said Casey Affleck's name come up, I was like, and that happens to me in theaters where I'll see something and I'll know someone's going to ask this question about that, or someone's going to have a comment about this. Yes. And then when it happens and I'm right, it is infuriating. Right?
Yes, especially when
to be so smart about how stupid people are.
Just think that thought. Think, I wonder if he's related to Ben Affleck. And then when the movie's over, you can look up on IMDb, oh my gosh, they're brothers. But the whole movie, they were saying really obvious stuff very loudly the whole time. And this is a heavy movie. There's some really intense scenes, very sad scenes, and they're like talking through it. So I did something that I've never done before. I could tell Whitney was annoyed too. So I was like, I'm going to get up, and this was at our like local Cinemark. I'm going to go talk to a manager, inform them that there's an old couple loudly speaking in our theater.
Did you do looks first? Did you do the look?
Yes. I did look, and I even said, excuse me. Like,
okay. Yeah, then you were in the right. You were in the right to talk to the manager.
But so I do this, and I tell him like, if you could just like wait a little bit, so it's not like you're not like following me into the theater, like that'd be great. And then I like walk back into the theater, and I don't realize they're like right behind me. And I walk back into the theater, and then like literally 10 seconds later, they walk up, and they're like, "Excuse me."
Immediate connection to you.
We've received a complaint. This is my first time seeing the movie. I ended up seeing it again in theaters because I was like, I missed 5 minutes. And the scene, spoiler alert for Manchester by the Sea coming up. An entire 2 kids burn in a house. They like there's an accidental house fire and the mom and dad make it out safely and these kids die. We come back into theater when this house is burning down and it's the most tragic and sad part of the movie. Whitney's crying. I come back in. This manager follows me. He like talks to this couple. It's super awkward. Whitney's crying. And I'm like, this
children are dying.
I am in hell right now. Like I can feel the heat emanating off the fire on the screen. And the whole rest of the movie, I'm like, they're quiet the rest of the movie. They were definitely quiet. They were scared by the manager about to kick them out. But it was the most awkward. And just like when he was like, that was the worst. Like I hated watching that movie after that manager came in.
Arlie has gotten, I don't know if I should air this much dirty laundry on the podcast. Are you listening, babe? Right now? Are you cooking? She likes to listen to podcasts while she like cooks dinner. And sometimes I'll hear our voices and I'll be like, oh, that's sweet. She's listening to me. What did I say in the last one? But she had enough of those kind of experiences with me, like in the theater, to where that combined with the pandemic, she now after the post-pandemic, her first movie in a theater with me was Spider-Man No Way Home. No Way Home, yeah. Which of course was packed and with people who were excited. Like that's the fun. Like
a movie like that, I don't care if people talk, whatever. But she still was like hypersensitive to it. Yeah. And so it's like it's been tough because she's like has no desire to go back to a theater. And Ellie and I dragged her to Top Gun. And I remember there was some of that vibe happening when we were in there. And I was like, this happened a couple times where early in our marriage, like there have been movies where like I really want to see it. I've seen it. I think she'll love it. She doesn't think she'll love it. Iron Man, the first Iron Man was one. She's like, I don't have any interest. And I was like, I honestly think you would love this movie. Like, just go with me. And then she came with me. And then a couple people ruined it. And she was convinced that she didn't like the movie when it was the people talking through the movie that were stressing her out and upsetting her. And that made me more angry. Early in our marriage, we went to a double feature, the saddest double feature I can think of. Children of Men followed by Pan's Labyrinth. Oh my God.
It was the darkest.
Was this like at the theater, like you bought tickets to both of them and like went back to back?
Mm-hmm. And I've never done a double feature where I liked both movies. Have you?
Oh, I've done triple features where I've liked all three. Yeah.
Then they're good triple features. I just remember like as a kid, I would always I remember it was like Mask of Zorro and X-Files Fight the Future, right? And I was so pumped for X-Files. And then Mask of Zorro ruled so much that I went into X-Files and it wasn't Mask of Zorro 2 and I was disappointed. I now love that movie.
I had a day once. I went on, right after my senior year of high school, I went on this mission trip that was like 2 weeks long. And I missed a bunch of movies. Of course, movies are priority in my life over a mission trip that I was on. But I got back and actually no, this is a different time. I think it was just they all came out at the same time. That was a different double feature. I did a triple feature. This was in December of 2010. I think December of 2010. We had, or 11, doesn't matter. The same day I went I started with Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows. Remember that? The second Sherlock Holmes?
The second one?
Which I liked quite a bit. And then I did...
2011.
And then I did The Girl with the Dragon Hat 2, the Fincher movie, which I really liked.
Wow.
And then Adventures of Tintin at like an 11 p.m. showing, the movie, which I love. I know you're not a huge fan of that movie.
I'm a fan, not a huge fan.
But that was all like back to back in the same day. And that was like a great movie day. And I even did it legit. I bought tickets for all three of them. And I easily could have just snuck into each one.
I did after we went on vacation with my family one summer, came back. And like the day we got back, went to a double feature of Live Free or Die Hard.
Nice.
And then the first Transformers.
Nice. That's an action-packed day. I like both of those movies.
We loved Live Free or Die Hard. Yes. And because of that, we thought Transformers was boring. Like so stupid and boring. And we were hyped for Transformers. Like the hype was like, this movie's going to blow your mind.
It's so funny.
And then we saw Live Free or Die Hard and a blast.
The first Transformers quite a bit.
I still don't.
Yeah. But Live Free or Die Hard, I do have a soft spot for that movie. I remember seeing that in theaters and loving it. Justin Long and Bruce Willis.
The score for that is a blast. The cinematography in that one's a blast. Like several of the action scenes, including that jet scene, are a blast.
Oh, the one where they fly a car at a jet to take it out?
No, he flies a car at a helicopter to take it out, but then he actually drives a semi-truck up an interstate, collapsing interstate.
That's right.
And jumps on the side of a jet.
Oh, dude, I thought it was revolutionary in that movie where the terrorists were like, we can control the traffic lights. And I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, man. Dude, let me tell you, there's a movie called Eagle Eye. It's going to blow your mind.
Eagle Eye.
I love Eagle Eye.
That's cool.
Oh, one more. What was the other? Oh, I think my favorite theater going experience. I mean, the first one that comes to mind was in 2017 or 18. I was in Portland doing a speaking gig for this place that it was weird. It was like they had people who could be like in person and then also watch it live and then watch it like later. And it was like there was like a rev share situation there that never fulfilled itself. And it was a little disappointing and weird, but even more disappointing was like literally two people showed up for the in-person part of it.
Yeah.
And when that happens, I don't know if you've done this before, but like you feel like just a huge loser when like people market an event with you and you've like spent hours and days like prepping, trying to make this most interesting like lesson or plan or whatever talk you're doing, and then like two people show up and you're like, I suck. Like I'm just a big ham.
The closest thing I've got to that is my film playing at a film festival and me being the literal only one in the screening.
Oh, yeah, man.
Like no one else. And then they turned off the screening like early because they thought no one was in there.
Man.
They didn't see me. It was hilarious.
Oh my God, that hurts, man. That sucks.
Anyways, tell your story.
Well, no, so I'm in Portland for that. We also launched our plotdevices.co that day. So we'd had the Kickstarter and everything, and we launched the store
this is pretty recent. Well, in the grand scheme, you know.
Yeah, it was like 2017 or 18. And so I'm alone in Portland. And I have like this free night before I fly out the next day. And I'm like, I want to go see Blade Runner 2049. Like it had just come out and I hadn't gotten to see it yet. I knew Arlie wasn't interested. So I looked up the nearest like theater, like, and it's nighttime when I'm doing this, right? Yeah. So I'm in an Airbnb that I've Ubered to, like, I don't know the surroundings whatsoever. And I buy tickets, Fandango some tickets for this nearby theater. I take an Uber to it. Again, it's nighttime. I don't know where I am. I'm driving. It might have even been raining. There's no context for where I am. I'm in like a dream world. And I walk into this theater. It's this old theater. But like an old, like used to be not movie theater.
Oh, yeah.
It's Portland, so they definitely have beer at this tiny old theater. I get a beer, I get popcorn, I go in, I sit down in this old theater that absolutely probably has rats in it. Who knows? And I watch Blade Runner 2049. It is a pretty full theater. Yeah. No one talks. It's like silent, reverent. It's almost like I walked into a video game and like everybody here is just an NPC. Like no one is programmed to speak.
That's incredible.
Or interact.
I love that.
No one has lives anywhere else. This is all just for me. I am all in on this movie. It washes over me like a bath. This is wonderful. It's exactly the way you're supposed to watch Blade Runner 2049.
Was the presentation good? Like it sounded good? It
was big and loud, dude.
Nice,
it was great.
Nice.
So I get up and I walk out and it's, again, nighttime. Don't know where I am. It's just some dimly lit places, whatever. And I find the score on my phone and I'm listening to that as I'm riding in the Uber home. I'm like in Blade Runner. Like I just was brought into this weird middle area between reality and Blade Runner. And I watched Blade Runner and it was perfect. I wish I could watch every movie.
I love
like
that. I love that so much. I have this specific friend that thinks it's ridiculous that when I go on vacation to different places, I want to see movies there. But there's something about seeing...
there's something about going to a movie theater on vacation.
Yes, and one like that you're not a local to, and you get to sort of like, to me, it's like this special thing. It's like, I want to see movies where other people see movies. And
you also get to kind of make believe and pretend that there's like a culture there, even though it probably isn't now. Like when we were growing up, like movie theaters were where like we hung out. There in malls. And it's not that... doesn't seem to be the case anymore, but on a movie theater vacation or a vacation movie theater, like you can make up any, like you're not going to come back. You're not going to know the realities. You can make up any backstory and live in that reality while you're there. Me and Whitney went on a trip with my brother and his wife, who were all best friends. And we went in 2019, we went on a European like vacation. It was like 10 days. We did a National Lampoon's European vacation. Yes, exactly. We brought Chevy Chase with us, and that sounds unpleasant. It would be the worst vacation of all time. But we went to like London, Paris, and Dublin, and Belfast. Have you figured out yet, by the way, why there's a street named after Chevy Chase? And where the hell do you live? My friend's neighborhood in Didden? Yeah. I still have no idea. And, if you are out there and you know why there's a street called Chevy Chase Drive. Actually lives on like the street. Yeah, tell people. Okay, tell the audience where it lives. Okay, bleep
name on that, Rene.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Will you people his PIN number too, the zip code?
That's so good. Anyways, we do this European vacation, and I'm like, we got to go to a movie at one point. Like, I want to see a movie in London. Like, I want to see, and there's
An American Werewolf in London.
There, yes, and well, speaking of American Werewolf in London, Edgar Wright's favorite movie, we saw a movie at his favorite theater.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, in Piccadilly Square, there's I forget what the movie theater is called, but I was like, yeah, I want to see like a movie theater where like one of my favorite directors sees his movies, and it was awesome. We saw Rocket Man, the Elton John not documentary, the movie,
not the one starring Harlan. What's his name? Not the Rocket Man, the Disney comedy.
Yes, not
live
that
action comedy, written by Craig Mazin.
Really?
Yeah.
Incredible. But yeah,
movie's so bad.
But it's I love seeing movies play in other places. I think that's so fun. I have a bunch of best experience. I'll share those another time because we can get to our next question. Seth, if you were to make a
wait, no, pause.
Sorry.
I do want to answer that, but I kind of like what we were talking about, and I want to ask a couple more questions.
Okay.
One more question.
Okay, ask me a question.
What's your go-to concession at a movie?
Ooh, movie snack.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
It's different now that we're at Alamo because I don't always get movie theater snacks at Alamo.
Really? You just go in cold?
I'll either not get anything or get like a meal because they have like really good food at Alamo's.
I can't go into a movie without something. Like I'll
get a Coke. I'll get a Coke regardless. Like I gotta have
a Coke.
I gotta have soda. Like I gotta have a Coke. But it used to be
gotta have a Coke. Gotta have a Coke. We're just marketing for them.
Gotta have a Coca-Cola Classic.
You gotta. You'd love it. Sorry.
I pull one out and do the perfect drink on camera.
And spill it everywhere.
A Coke and a smile makes me feel good. Makes me feel nice. Be around. That's the way it should be. I like to say, hey kid, the whole world is smiling with me. Coca-Cola as life. Have a Coke and thanks me, Joe. Smile.
No, but I mean, usually I would get, this is actually a funny discussion because your sibling Bex texted me one day this week and said, is this true? And then sent an article about people in Texas eating pickles.
That's where that came
at
from?
Movie theaters.
That was the weirdest freaking thing that you've ever posted. I had never heard of people, I never heard the term. The worst part was it felt like it was a prank. And at the end it says you even have the option to have it drained.
Okay, I don't know what that is. I don't know what the drained thing is. But
I don't want someone to drain my pickle before
the phrase is disgusting. Yeah. But growing up,
I mean, maybe I do based on what I just said, but
just like at like baseball games or whatever, like they in our movie theater growing up, they had like popcorn, hot dogs, candy, pickles. And they had a big like vat of pickles and pickle juice, and they would like grab a pickle and like put it in some paper in like a little cup. And me and one of my best friends would always both get a pickle and snack on that during a movie.
Wow.
So that was a very strange concession. But usually it's like popcorn and like M&Ms, and then like eat them together. Like that's the ultimate movie snack to me.
Oh, that's nice. I nowadays go for like the sweet tart, chewy rope.
Oh yes,
sweet cherry rope thing.
Dude.
I go for a pack of those. If I have someone to share it with, I'll get a popcorn, and then I like to get a bottle of water and a coffee. If they have a coffee, if it's like even if it's just out of like a Keurig, I just like to have.
You're
a cup
an old
of coffee.
man now.
Yeah, I am. Well, what I really love to do is if they have beer, I'll get a beer and a coffee, and I'll balance it out.
Upper and a downer.
It's how I roll, man. That's how I roll right into movies. It's how I watched Arrival. It was the perfect, like smooth sailing through Arrival.
I love that.
I used to. There was a theater. I think I've told this on the show, but it's worth celebrating. When I was at Baylor, there were two theaters I remember in Waco, and one of them was like kind of ghetto. One of them was just was not so reliable for safety, and one of them was fine. Mm-hmm. The one that was not so reliable had sold these what were called Spider-Man mutant gummy spiders.
It's incredible. I love the name.
They were gummy spiders, but they were only red and blue. All of them were red and blue, like the perfect flavors.
Yeah.
Polly.
The colors are flavors.
Yeah. Polly, it was perfect. It was the most perfect.
And what did they do? They got rid of them. It
was just the most perfect balance of, they got rid of them. Then they replaced them with the Hulk version that were green. Then they replaced them with like a brown version for Batman Begins. And
brown?
But I loved the Spider-Man one so much. I found out the company's name and I ordered a case of them. And I wish I had like ordered way more of them. I'm sure they'd still be good. They were incredible. Taste of Nature, I think was the name of the company.
Taste of Nature.
Let me find out. Because what I want to do, here's what I need from everybody listening. I need everybody listening, first off, tell all your friends about the podcast. I need our audience numbers to like quadruple. And then simultaneously, I need someone to alert Taste of Nature of my obsession.
I just love
with Spider-Man Mutant Gummy Spiders.
Taste of Nature.
And then so they can ship me a crate of them. That's all.
I love it. I would frequent the Bunch of Crunch as well. I don't know if you're familiar with the Bunch of Crunch.
I loved me a Bunch of Crunch. That and the Butterfinger BBs.
I love Butterfinger BBs. Gotta love it. Yeah, those are a frequent snack too. But if I'm at Alamo, I'll usually get pizza because I'll be going like during dinner time, and I'm like, I'm just gonna eat dinner at Alamo. Or they have a fried chicken sandwich at Alamo Draft House that is incredible.
This company no longer makes the Spider-Man Mutant Gummies. They do have the Squigglies gummy worms.
Guys, if you can double our listeners by next week, we're giving every listener a Spider-Man Mutant Gummy.
Because they exist. All right, I apologize. I could just talk about this stuff for forever.
No. I love it. Anything movie theater related, I could also go on. We'll do the next talk show. I want to get to a few more questions that were sent in from our listener, Austin V. Alistair. I hope I'm saying their name right. They said, if you could make a biopic about someone, who would it be?
Oh, wait. So this person's name isn't Allison versus Alistair.
Yes. Austin versus Alistair.
That's what I read it as, or Austin versus Alistair.
Seth, have you thought about this question before? Do you have someone in mind that you would make a biopic about? I don't know if I do.
Oh, yeah.
Other than Fablemans 2 through 5.
Yeah, that's honestly the first thing. I feel like we answered this question on the podcast. We had to write a biopic one year.
Yeah, then we just said, you know what, let's not do that. And then we wrote Qzar.
Wow, we went from biopic to Qzar?
Yeah, because we said, well, technically it's Amelia Earhart. It just wants like...
What was her name again?
Amelia Earhart.
Amelia Earhart?
Earhart. I'm saying Earhart.
It's not Earhart, which should be the name of her biopic.
Earhart.
I realized this watching the podcast back. I look over here when I'm talking sometimes, and I don't explain why. It's because I'm looking toward my books, and like oftentimes I'll talk like on the Fablemans when I talked about like the story of Lucas watching so and so, and like talk, and it's literally because I'm looking back at the George Lucas biography back here, but I don't explain it, so I look like I'm just looking off into the distance.
No, I figured you were looking at your things, trying to get inspiration from your many things on your shelves.
I don't know what biopic I would do. It'd have to be that somebody who I don't know. I feel like, and there's no one what about you?
It's tough. It's a tough one, Seth, because I also am struggling to think of something.
Yeah, for me, it would need to be someone who had like a specific moment in time that there was like a very external, an external story, not like a internal like life. I don't want to tell a story about someone over the course of their life. You know, the kind of biopic that I do love is like, I love Aaron Sorkin's Steve Jobs. I mean, for obvious reasons, it's Aaron Sorkin. It's about Steve Jobs. But I loved the structure of that one. I love that he chose to tell it in a very contained way.
Yeah, Steve Jobs was awesome.
So I would want to do whatever it was. I would want to do a biopic that could be about a singular event in a person's life, or like a contained, like a way to tell a larger story in a contained setting. But I don't have any interest in doing like I love movies like Walk the Line, but I don't have any interest.
I was about to refer to Walk Hard, which is my favorite biopic.
Come on, Dewey. Join the party.
No, Dewey. You don't want this. Get out of here.
You know what? I don't want no hangover. I can't get no hangover.
It doesn't give you a hangover.
Well, I'll get addicted to it or something?
It's not habit forming.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I don't want to overdose on it.
You can't OD on it.
It's not going to make me want to have sex, is it?
It makes sex even better.
It sounds kind of expensive.
It's the cheapest drug there is. You don't want it.
I think I kind of want it.
Okay, but just this once. Come on in.
he has to think about his whole life before he plays a song. Yeah, that's really tough for me because I'm trying to think of my favorite biopic, and it might be the Steve Jobs movie. Like that probably is my favorite biopic.
I love the Steve Jobs movie. I love.
Let's go to Letterboxd and look up biopics.
Yeah, biopics.
Oh, Moneyball. That's technically a biopic. That's a great movie.
My God, Moneyball is my favorite.
So good,
hands down.
Lincoln.
I love Moneyball.
We've got
Lincoln's good, but
Zodiac, I guess, is a biopic.
Moneyball, I literally watch it whenever I'm.
Moneyball is just
weirdly.
like the perfect movie.
And it's just the perfect vibe movie just to have on in the background. Like for me, at least it is. Like if I can't sleep at night and I'm like up in my living room, I'll turn on Moneyball.
Social Network, I guess, is technically a biopic, even though it takes lots of liberties.
Social Network's freaking great.
Oh yeah, another I think perfect movie. We also
Aaron Sorkin. So basically, so far, anyone that Aaron Sorkin has written or written on, you got Moneyball.
That's true.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs, Social Network, Moneyball.
So Zodiac, is that a biopic? It's pretty great.
He did write Moneyball, didn't he?
He wrote a draft of it.
Okay.
Argo's great. Are these biopics? No, because they're based on a true story. That's different than a biopic.
I guess that's true. That's true. Biopic is like specifically about. I would say Moneyball is though. It's like Billy Bean's biopic. Kind of.
Really? I don't think so. Because no, I think it's based on a true story. I don't think it's
okay. Yeah, that would be an interesting thing. Like, what is a biopic? What's based on? Love and Mercy. That's my favorite
porn,
biopic.
You know it when you see it, right?
Love and Mercy. I think it would be my favorite biopic.
Let's look at porn and see if it's porn, right?
What?
That only work. I know that Zoom cancels out sometimes what I'm saying when you're talking, so you may not have heard the setup for that joke.
No, not at all. I just heard the end.
No, you said let's figure out like what's a biopic, what's not. I said it's like porn, you know it when you see it, and then I was like, let's look at some porn real quick and see if we can determine what it is.
Yep,
just to hear me randomly suggest that, you going, yep, that's porn. Now, anyway, back to the biopics.
Yes, Love and Mercy. That's my favorite one, which is what's his name? Beach Boys, Brian Wilson. It's a Brian Wilson biopic with Paul Dano, who plays Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson or Brian Williams?
Brian Wilson from Beach Boys. Brian Williams, isn't that the reporter?
Is that?
Yeah, Brian Williams, I think, is the guy who is like,
oh, I'm Brian Williams and I had a scandal. That's right. Okay, that's him. Right.
You should, if you haven't seen Love and Mercy, you should absolutely watch it.
Love helicopters. All right, I need to watch Love
Watch
and
it with it's blown out and out of focus. I was trying to show you the poster.
It's the name of my biopic, Blown Out and Out of Focus, the Seth Worley story.
You and Arlie should absolutely watch Love and Mercy, and then you would become obsessed with the Beach Boys.
Done.
I have no idea who I would make up. All that to say, I don't know who I would make a biopic about. So sorry, my friend Austin versus Alistair.
Versus Alice. Okay.
Okay.
I like 127 Hours a whole lot. It's not my favorite.
That one's good. Is that a biopic or based on a true story?
That's based on a true story. Yeah.
You know when you see it.
You know, I wrote a movie called Based on an Untrue Story once.
Did you?
Yes.
Have I read that?
I don't think you read it. It was before our time. Before we were born, I wrote this film.
Before our time.
This was while you were watching Super 8 with your old people.
Yeah.
I was offered the chance to write a feature film on spec for a producer based on an idea that I did not own. It was not terrible. It just wasn't.
Did you write the whole
should or should not do it? I did at the promise of possibly getting it made.
Do you not?
However, it did allow me to meet Tony, and I met John Cho, and I met Danny Pudi.
Look at that.
So I mean, all was not lost. That's how I met Tony. So
yeah, which it leads you to being on Smart List.
That's that, and that was. Now I've hit the end. I've hit the end of the line. I don't have any more goals or dreams.
Do you sounded not super happy about writing a script based on an idea that you did not come up with? Is that like? Is that like, yeah, I don't want to do that, or I don't like doing that, or is that just something that's specific idea?
What I mean is, I don't think it's good practice. Definitely not good practice to advise anyone to do it. To basically have a producer who says, "So I was pitched this idea by this person who." It was introduced to me as by this producer who was one of the many producers I met after Plot Device happened, and they said this person who has made a career out of pitching one-liners like around town and selling them and someone else goes off and writes them. They came in and pitched me some ideas, and one of them was this idea. Would you be interested in writing it on spec? And we take it out and try to attach some actors and get it made. And, I'm hungry for any opportunity at this point.
Oh, yeah.
But, just to remind the audience, on spec means free. And it was for an idea that I didn't come up with. So I have no ownership of the script. I did all this work and it's something that I don't have intellectual, like I don't have possession of this concept. I can't take it and remake it or develop it more, like without some kind of weird legal stuff. And I never got paid, obviously. It's just, I don't, I said it that tone because it's more of like, I want to make sure not to tell anybody, you should absolutely go write a script for free that a producer brings to you. I'm glad that I did it, but I don't, and
at that time, it's like, I'm just going to hustle to try to make something happen, especially with this opportunity. I totally get that.
Yeah. It was a fine script, but it was.
Did I ever tell you that this? I don't want to spoil. I'm fine with people knowing this. Did I ever tell you about they approached us to pitch on the gritty reboot for?
No, really?
Yeah.
Are you going to
bleep the production company, Rene, but. Monitor wasn't right for us, but we really love you guys' vibe. We love the idea, and we really love your work. We'd love for you to pitch to direct. They're doing a reboot, and they sent us the script. No, this is months ago, and they they attached the script, and we basically told them like, we'd be interested if we could like completely change the script and like.
Well, maybe you did tell me this.
Do like a page 1 rewrite, and they're like, we can't do that, but there'll be other opportunities. We'll keep on hitting you guys up.
We did talk about this. I think we talked about it on the podcast because I just I just wanted to tell you did the right thing.
Okay, that's right. Yes. But it was like, I'm like, this is so weird. But it's like, it's that thing where it's like, if it is something that I didn't come up with the idea, like I at least need to be able to make it my own.
I need to be able, Sam Mendes calls it, I think I've said this on the podcast, but he calls it his like weigh in. He has to have a weigh in to anything that he's going to direct or write or work on. On that script that I wrote based on an untrue story, I can talk about it. It's never going to get made. The idea that was pitched was this is like in the wake of James Fry. What was his name? He was the guy who like his book, like Oprah championed it. It was a huge bestseller, and he was pitched as like a true story, and then it came out that he had made it all up.
Oh man. I don't know about this.
So the story this idea that was pitched was like a writer, like a starving artist, like up and coming writer, like aspiring writer sells his first novel like to a publishing company and then finds out that they somehow came to believe it was nonfiction and that everything in it was true. And so he and his friends set out on the road to recreate the events of the book so that they're true.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
and it was fun, I love that, dude.
Really fun concept. And what's funny is I was able to find a way in because I thought I had a friend, I'm still a close friend of mine, who I worked with for a while and was like, was a producer on several very early things, who had a habit of not reading the scripts. And I would find out while we're in the middle of like the desert, New Mexico, filming something that like he really had no idea what we were shooting, but he was excited to be there and making it all happen. And the thing is that actually is incredibly meaningful that he's like, believes in me so much, trusts me, doesn't even read the script and still goes to the trouble to give me everything I need and we make it happen. But to me, of course, I'm like deeply offended by this. And so my whole pitch was like, my two pitches on the concept was like, where that the writer should basically it should be presented that weaknesses in his book, feedback that people gave him that he's ignoring, that certain events are not believable, that the character wouldn't really do this, that once he gets out on the road and starts having to recreate these things, he starts being challenged, like his whole notion of like what he firmly believed this character would do is wildly challenged. Like he has to confront and do the things that he has sworn for years these characters he wrote would do. Oh, and now he's like, that's an
interesting story.
And then the second one was that his best friend that's with him, we should find out around the midpoint or somewhere like right after that, this friend hasn't read the book and like has been pretending the whole time to know what he's talking about. And that would be like this rift between the two. And it would really be about their relationship and how much this friend supports this, the main character, and how much the main character hasn't been living because they've just been, stuck in this book of theirs figures. It was, it had some funny stuff in it, and
there's people attached. It sounds like
there were people attached. Yeah. It was John Cho and Tony Hale briefly.
It's crazy,
but it never went anywhere.
Yeah.
And,
now Tony Hale starring in your other movie that you wrote and directed yourself.
Yeah.
That is great, dude. Okay. So let's end this podcast. Seth, do you want to do a new segment that we don't have a title for yet, where we recommend something to people that we like from this week?
Yeah. Wait, so you want to do basically what John and Craig do on screen on script notes. They get one cool thing. You want us to do one cooler thing.
Do we want to actually title it One Cooler Thing as a direct reply?
I think we should. I think we should call it One Cooler Thing.
But does ours have to have a theme song?
One Cooler Thing. Yeah!
Yeah! Seth, do you have a one cooler thing for this week?
I did, and I forgot it.
Let me talk mine first. Seth's mortal enemy, writer Matt Black.
Damn him down.
My other writing partner released a novel called Pelakheet.
Oh, that's cool.
It's available on Amazon. It's very good. I haven't finished it, but I read the script version of it because it started as a screenplay.
Of course it did.
Before turning it to how many pages?
The next day.
264
page. And the next
novel.
day he adapted it into a novel.
But it's kind of like it's got bits of horror. It's like sort of a historical sort of thriller almost. It's if you're into sort of anything a little bit scary, but mostly like I would compare it to like the tone of like Silence if you're a movie person. But it's very good. Pelakheet, it's available on Amazon. We'll put it in the show notes. Highly recommend it, especially supporting a great writer that I love. Pelakheet. That's my one cooler thing.
One cooler thing.
Yeah.
My one cooler thing, it might be music. There's no, it's not. I hate how albums trickle out slowly now.
Now it's all singles, and then you're like, we have our album now. It's like, no, that was just
not
12
even
singles.
Like, I was going to say the new M83 album, but it's not an album. I thought it was, but it's just the one track was released already, and now they released 4 tracks, and there's still 7 to go or something. Anyway, the tracks that they've come out with are great.
Is this Fantasy Chapter 1?
It's fantasy. I don't see a chapter on mine. It's just fantasy.
I see M83 Fantasy Chapter 1. It's EP.
Oh, there might be more to it.
Maybe it's different on Spotify.
Yeah, stupid Spotify.
That's cool.
That might be it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I think Rene, you should end this with a song from M83. Is there a certain song that you want to wrap?
I really
the
like
podcast?
Amnesia.
Okay, so it's playing now, and
Yeah, it is. Here we go.
Oh wow, I feel like I'm in a dark place now.
Let's go see Blade Runner in Portland.
Yes. AirPods in, walking around in the dark of Portland.
Can you hear it?
Not at all.
Oh, you can't? Hold on. Ready? You're gonna hear it now. Here we go.
Nope, it cut out.
No, really?
I think it's too loud, and then I can't hear it at all. It just cuts out. But I'll hear it in the final podcast, Seth.
What about while I'm talking? Can you hear it while I'm talking?
Yes.
So I'll just keep talking, and we're talking, and we're talking.
But
it's
like
Radio K1. Welcome to
your voice also covers the music.
Oh, true. Hang on. Let's keep listening. I'm just going to turn off automatically adjusting. Can you hear it?
It's very warbly, but I hear something. You're trying, Seth. I appreciate it.
All right.
What if this was our entire podcast and just play a song and we just look at each other and bob our heads?
And it's a video podcast.
Now I hear it. Holy
There's
crap.
a switch. I forgot there was a switch.
Yeah, this is really good. It sounded nothing like it did just a second ago.
Oh, it muted you now. That's my favorite part of this whole part.
Yeah.
Yeah, really is the perfect yeah song.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, really, just play out the podcast with that.
The Writers' Room Game Show with me, Ryan Pollock, and Seth Worley. Executive produced by Grant Wakefield at Weekend Video and Ann Fogerty at Plot Devices. Edited to perfection by Rene Gomez. Our art is by your buddy, Meg Lewis, and our face-melting music is by Ben Worley. The Writers' Room Game Show is a Weekend Video production in association with Plot Devices. Learn more about Weekend Video at weekend.video and check out writersroomgame.show to listen to all of our episodes and suggest your own prompts for future shows. And don't forget to rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts. It really helps our show out a lot. See you in the next one.